welcome, my survivors. This is Nichel Anderson. Thank you for joining me in this episode, episode 13, for my podcast, Surviving Your Journey Toward Success. This particular topic I will focus on deals with self-determination, which is imperative for self-motivational proficiency. That's either in your personal life or your career. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me start by saying, in this day, I am thankful to the Prime Creator of all things, that I give thanks for this blessing and opportunity, that I will use it for the greater good. So I want to again welcome my survivors of the journey to my podcast that aims to inspire you and motivate you to continue to have joy, peace of mind, and to sustain your success. So let's go ahead and focus on the topic for this episode 13, where this is actually from my Twitter. This particular topic deals with my Twitter message that I posted on my social media. It is dated December the 4th, 2017. If you want to go back and read that complete thread, again, if you have been joining me before, I usually communicate, at least for right now, mostly on Twitter and then my Facebook fan page. But anyway, on Twitter, to keep it organized and what I'm aiming to inspire and teach you, I like to number my quotes. Okay. And so this one started dealing with self-determination, and that's when I posted it, December the 4th, 2017, if you wanted to see other quotes and other information that I expanded on the topic. So self-determination is required on your journey of life that supports your purpose on the path to true joy by having the courage to keep going. It's your footprint and moving forward that will get you to where you're meant to be. So that was the quote. So today we must start within to determine our willingness to start again. And that's hard for a lot of people, especially during our life lows and life periods where you see not the end game. So in this episode, I'm going to focus on that, talk about some proactive strategies to help you identify the roadblocks, and also mention the importance to self-determination. Why is that important? Right? And then some motivational insight to keep you focused on your primary goal, that is to find your purpose, because that equals your joy in life and good mental peace. All right, so with that done and said, let me move on to point number one, get right into it. Point number one is basically self-determination is your awareness to know there's something more beneficial on the other side of the horizon. That's hard for some people, because when we don't see it, we don't believe that it's possible. And if we had multiple failures, either in our career or in our personal life, which most of the time that shows up because you're dealing with emotions. And I have taught before, emotions is basically energy and motion. You can tell when the intensity of one situation is different from the other, but that's the energy level, that's the vibration, that's how you feel towards something. So you can make it more painful, and then that deals with our emotional pain. But at any rate, those are the two areas, of course, that we are constantly have to manage while we're on the journey. So you just have to keep moving. You got to get busy with what brings you joy, and that will give you determination to keep going. I'm going to say that again, because that's really, I'm giving you a takeaway already into this podcast. But you just have to keep moving, get busy with what brings you joy, and that feeds your self-determination. Okay, whatever that serves you good things in return, that's what you do when you self-doubt. And I'm going to mention self-doubt later in this podcast, but that's basically what you're dealing with. So you have to be determined to get it and to receive the joy, because sometimes we think we're not worthy. And this whole season, the first show that I did, for some reason I felt to talk about your worthiness, define your worth. Like you at a job, define your worth. If they don't appreciate you and so forth, then it might be time that you look at another opportunity, to move on. Same way in a personal relationship. All right, so point number two, when you're dealing with self-determination, you're aware or willing to be able to find true happiness by just being you. Okay, a lot of times when, especially growing up when we were younger, or maybe you're already really young, and you're listening to my podcast and you're being proactive because you don't want any hiccups on the journey, we usually try to please other people. So we become their motivation to get up because we're doing everything for them instead of taking care of ourselves. You got to take care of yourself. I have said that before. Everybody needs self nourishment. Self determination feeds that too. Why? Because it makes you aware of why you're here, why you are important, and why you just got to keep going. Even when the challenges seem completely out of your range of tackling it, you got to believe that you could do it. Self-determination is where you're aware enough to get up again anyway and give it all that you got. It's where the term that I had said before, you in it to win it. Okay? It had to come from that concept. So go for the gold in your life. Be determined to get back up. Now, what are the roadblocks to finding your strong self-determination? A, not believing to know you can do what you seek in your heart. See, self-determination deals with your heart's intent. And your mind, as I have taught before, deals with the logical plane. And so it wants to process things and calculates. And sometimes it kind of conflicts in a way by showing you where we don't got this and we don't got that. And that person said that because it wants to process things, right? So you also have to do what I have taught before is do mind push-ups. So whenever those things come up, is right back what I said earlier. You have to use or do the things that gives you joy to counteract what your mind is normally processing information. And so your heart is always attached to something to love, to care for. And that's for anybody when you think about it. And so what I'm saying is when those roadblocks come up dealing with when you're not, it's challenging you to see if you're believing to know you can do it. And so your heart has to be in it. You know, that's why people say, is your heart in it? Is that your passion? Are you all in? Do you really love this? You know, and if your heart is in it, and when things don't go well, then your heart hurts. So then guess what? You self-doubt. All right. I told you I was coming back to that word. So the next thing, B, is when you're listening to others rather than listening to yourself, you have to identify the toxicity in your life. A quick example, if 99% of the time they're saying something that you can't do it, I don't believe it, I don't see it, you have to eliminate that or you have to reduce it. It's just quick and simple. Now, when you're at work, it's hard to do because you're not in control unless you're the CEO or you're the owner of the company, right? So you have to be very particular about hanging out with certain people at work or carrying on a conversation. You got to get good. And I have classes that's coming up, 3 courses that I'm rolling out in spring, where I try to explain the different strategies you can use when you in, the corporate world, or that's, working in for somebody else. It's very particular because you can't really, exit the room. You have to deal with that. So I give you strategies in those courses of how some things that you can say and how you can maneuver through that because it's very tricky when you're at work. The next part, C, wondering a lot instead of trusting the process of life that all things do not show up to guide us. We must trust in knowing it will work out. And if it is meant to be, so shall it be. So wondering is pretty much the cousin of doubt. Because when we wonder, we really not sure of our ability to be able to get it done. And so self-determination is that golden little nugget that you pull out and say, I'm determined anyway to get it done. I'm determined no matter what. I might not have this, I might not have that. This happened, she said, or he mentioned that, but I am determined. So that's why self-determined is so important. All right, so let me move to wisdom. This is the wisdom. You will not be able to deal with others if you don't have the courage to know you can do something. Even if you are a newbie to to this life journey, right? And you're young and you're trying to figure it out, and you just graduated from college, and you in this corporate world, and you're just da da da, or you're in a new relationship, and so you have challenges in that. You have to have the self-determination to learn what you need to learn, and all else will follow in time. So you don't self-doubt, you don't worry about that. You deal with what you can do, what you do know. So you got to be good to yourself, which would be good to your mind. That helps in building the character strength and being self-determined. No matter what, you get the job done. So the bottom line, self-determination is critical on life's journey, because when things come up that brings the emotional lows, you personally must be self-determined to choose to take what action, either through your faith or your spiritual foundation or another way that you use to connect with, because at the end of the day, it's your choice, right? So you have to use those anchors that I mentioned in a previous episode, because if you're sinking, you're not pulling down on yourself, you raising up to the sky to get somebody to help you, right? So that's what I'm saying, is that when you get really low, and we all have to admit that we've been there before, that we self-doubt and we worry, and self-determination is that element of the mind and of your heart and your spirit to say, you know what, I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to do this. And then you use your spiritual team and your physical team, not the toxicity ones, to help you. Because with being self-determined, you are also being self-motivated, and you don't doubt, right? And I've been teaching about doubt for a while. It is the number one comrade for Mr. Fear. So here are some strategies that you can take away from, and basically I'm going to go right into your task to dusk to dawn. Number one, you need to focus on your needs to believe in yourself again, meaning if you need more alone time, then do it. It's a good thing. You got to know what motivates you. What is your joy in doing things? It keeps you going during the lows of life that challenges your self-determination. Number two, eliminate self-doubters or reduce them in your immediate circle. You could be self-determined on a team with doubters of the plan to move forward. So you have to decide if that team is worthy of your time. Now, if you're in a corporate life, it's kind of tricky, right? So again, like I said, I am rolling out some future courses. The first series will be later this spring. But at any rate, you have to be able to eliminate yourself for those self-doubters, remove them if all possible, or reduce it greatly. Number three, you need to listen to your self-talk. That's important. It is proactive or not active in raising your self-determination meter. Okay, you have to determine if it encourages you to move forward or it doesn't. Remember, no one can make you choose. That's your right. I'm just here to encourage you, like others that you come across that are motivating you and encouraging you to choose with wisdom so you can succeed and have the joy that you deserve. But you got to be self-determined to get it. So pretty much that's my podcast today, where I'm talking about self-determination. So your motivational quote is basically self-determination. You're aware of the importance on your journey of life to sustain prestige, self-esteem, to be self-determined, to keep moving as one of the golden keys in life to defeat Mr. Fear. Your success and mental peace will be what you achieve when you do that. So self-determination is so vital. Without that, there's no joy. There's nothing but mental chaos. So you hold on to self-determination. You hold on to it. You don't let it go. And if it gets low, you get motivated and you find ways to do it. You call on your physical team. It gets really, 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 really low, then you got to go to spiritual team. That's the only way out. So thank you so much for joining me today. And don't forget to subscribe to my podcast and share as well. My podcast homepage is Nichel Anderson, 7.podbean.com. So that's N as in Nicholas, Ichel, Anderson, 7.podbean.com. Also, my show is on iTunes. You can download it straight from the iTunes page. Also, you can go to my homepage on Podbean, connect and download iTunes from there as well. Follow me on social media. My official Twitter account is twitter.com/Nichel Anderson. Facebook, so that's facebook.com/Nichel Anderson fan page. And also visit my official website, which is nichelanderson.com. That's where you can learn more about the things that I do, my courses that I have, and as well as webinars at times that I do. And also you can find out any new updates of projects that I aim to create and produce. But mainly you can find out more information about my courses that I have, my classes, and sometimes future webinars that I do for free. This show notes will be provided for you that will list any information to read up on when you are able to do so, and any website links if mentioned in this broadcast. You can as well purchase my Corporate America Surviving Your Journey Choice Success book on Amazon, as well as my other book, Mitzrayim, a memoir. It is also available on Amazon.com, as well as any other book retailer that you prefer. All right, just to recap, some information on my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey, Choice Success. Regular new broadcasts are Mondays by 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Guest interviews are pre-announced as soon as confirmed. Now, if you want to be a guest speaker on my show that listeners can gain insight, be motivated, and encouraged about your message or product or service that you have that can benefit others, please complete a guest speaker application form. You can locate that on my Podbean homepage that houses my audio podcast. Okay, so that's nichelanderson7.podbean.com. Also, if you go to my official website, nichelanderson.com, and click on podcast, you will see at the top menu to the right, if you own a PC, if you're on a PC or a Mac. If you're on a mobile phone, then of course you have to kind of maneuver a different way to see that menu, but you will see podcast show, and then that way you can see that link that will take you to complete the guest speaker application form. And I do get that and look that over. To get a response back that you are approved can take around about 48 to 72 hours, maybe longer depending on when you have submitted it, like on the weekend. Now, if you have any questions to answer during my podcast, you can send it to info@nichelanderson.com, or you can direct message me on Twitter or Facebook. Now, I'm also on Skype. Okay, so my Skype ID is nichel.anderson. Okay, so this concludes my podcast show today. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Please follow me on my social media and subscribe for future podcast airings of my show. My Twitter account is twitter.com/Nichel Anderson. Again, facebook.com/Nichel Anderson fan page. And also you can visit my official website, nichelanderson.com. There are also premium podcasts priced and provided conveniently online for easy access on nichelanderson7podbean.com, where it houses all of my podcast episodes. You can find that option for premium podcast where you will have access to get more of my content instead of the free episodes that I roll out weekly. And also I am planning on releasing short stories. I used to do that as well when I had that opportunity at sweet101.com as the columnist for the Harlem Renaissance. In between my research and my articles, I started like short stories, and people seem to enjoy those stories. And also that can tie into my other creative projects that I have going on as well, besides my courses that I have on my website, which is Dawn of New Day and Mole. So I am planning to do short stories from those types of productions and even new ones as well. And so I will basically have that type of content specifically for the premium paid podcast. Okay, so I plan on to have specifically for that type of literary creative side of me content available in the premium paid podcast. Okay, so please visit the show notes as well for each of my podcasts. It is located on the homepage. So, concluding my podcast today, I would like to leave you with my message for you. Be you that strengthens and inspires your ability to be strong in your journey endeavor. It's a good thing towards your mental peace and joy, always to your success.